Hi, I'm David. Today I have something special. And you know that I love vintage recording equipment and I love tape. And I couldn't resist. This is a recorder. That is a Tascam 38, a 8-track, half-inch reel-to-reel recorder. That is gold. I paid very little for it, and it is broken, so we're gonna actually do a repair video on this thing. How good is that? Alright, so as I said, this is a beautiful Tascam 38, and I don't know all the problems of it. We're gonna actually find out. But so the first problem that I see, those are not really supposed to do that. I don't think so. Yeah, it's kind of mechanical problems. The other thing is that the guy who sold me this thing said that there was a problem, an electrical problem, with the 7th channel. So, and it was kind of intermittent. I don't know, we're gonna see. And one big problem, what I'm actually worried about, is this motor here. Everything here works. The motors, before buying this thing, obviously I asked, well, do the motors run? And the motors, they do run, everything is fine, but during the shipping or whatever, I don't know, this motor received a bump and recessed in a little bit, so I cannot really put a reel because it now touches the little screws here. So that is a problem, because I have to pull this thing out to align the tape perfectly. So that is a big problem. I hope there's nothing broken inside, like the motor mount broke. I hope not, but you know, I think there is a set screw on those little plastic hubs that you can actually adjust. Everything else seems quite good, seems in perfectly good aesthetical condition. So I have the full print of the manual, which is, and also the repair manual, which is very important. You don't want to restore anything or touch a machine like that without a manual. So apparently this machine was used in a studio, but it was then decommissioned when it was actually bought in the early 80s. It should have very little hours on its back, and from the late 80s till now was never used again, which is a shame, because machines like this one, they should be used as often as possible, because they actually, the mechanism and everything else inside, it actually will suffer over time if it is not used often. So those machines were actually manufactured to be used. So before using it, obviously, we have to first clean it, second see what are the problem and sort out the problems and fix them, and then we're gonna actually reassemble the thing, realign the thing, and try to, you know, get the thing back to the original specifications, and then we're gonna actually bring this thing in the studio and record with it. I actually have like 4 Ampex Grandmaster 456 reels for it, and those are actually new, still with the original packaging and everything, and that's great. But I'm actually gonna order some new mastering tapes from RTM. And on those professional kind of products from Tascam, you can actually see on the front there is nothing. nothing. I mean, just the function selection switches and the very nice view meters, analog view meters, and nothing really else. Those later model machines have a digital readout here, not the analog one, but the proper digital with a vacuum fluorescent display, and you have zero return, which is a very nice feature. So when you hit that, it will actually wind back to zero and not pass it. So that's a very nice thing, and for recording, that's perfect. Alright, so I'm starting from the front panel, and to remove it, I remove the little head cover here, remove the pitch control, the two little guides here, and remove the 8 hex screws on the side. So now we should actually be able to remove this whole thing. Alright, so sorry for the handheld camera, but here is a little tour of the machine. So in order to remove the front panel, you have to remove everything else. There are also some screws on the bottom, and you have to be careful because the actual control circuitry here is attached by this connector here. You have to be careful about that. But anyways, here we see some parts that are interesting, at least to me, to actually make this thing work again. The first part here is the pinch roller mechanism here. This is the actual solenoid that operates the pinch roller, and the tape guides right under here. This is the flywheel, and you can actually see the oh my god, that is bad. You can see the little belt here is completely melted, but this one certainly is disconnected, because I mean, it doesn't even move the little spring on the top, and those two should be identical, but this one, nope. This is the braking mechanism here. So when there is a solenoid right there, and that's the braking system, which is not bad. It's directly here. Usually it's on the back of the motor, but this time you actually find it here, which is good. I actually found the two set screws. You cannot really see those, but there are two set screws right underneath here to set the height of this hub. You can actually see here the difference. So this is the little braking strip, and this one, look at that. There is recessed inwards, and that's not good. So we have to disassemble this thing and access the set screws on the back and set those. Pull this thing out a little bit to make it work again. That is a fucking mess of molten tape, or molten belt, molten rubber. That is disgusting. And unfortunately, that means they have to completely disassemble this whole section here. So, right, so I did some progress here, and I removed the little back cover and the bonnet that was around this thing, and that's a little bit dirty, but you know, just following the instruction is good enough. I mean, they tell you everything you need, so I don't think it's worth any explanation here. But look at that transformer. I mean, that is quite a thing. and there are some heatsink here for the motor. The motor drivers are under here. I really want to access the bottom panel here to see if everything is all right, and I think just by removing those 4 screws here, this will actually flip down like this. And because I see some hinges here, so hopefully it's well designed. I guess probably is actually designed to be like that. The main amplifier boards are under this cover. So here we go, I removed the screws, and as I said, it kind of flips down and you can actually see all the circuitry right away. And I already see some Mitsubishi parts here. Here's the fuse board. We're gonna check everything here. And this is actually interesting. This is the motor, the main motor shaft goes behind here, and this is the actual counter. So you can actually see it's a optical counter right there. That's cool. The thing I can actually do right now is adjust the table height here, and it actually illustrates very nicely everything, and just by those 2 set screws on the bottom here on the shaft, and we're gonna move this thing a little bit upwards, and I'm gonna actually measure this one here, and with that measurement I'm gonna replicate that right here, so there will be equal distance. So let's do that. And you know, I'm not gonna film this thing because, you know, there's just a little bit of measurements. Take here, and just move this thing a little bit out. Okay, so I really want to get everything ready to be cleaned and disassembled. So since I'm here and I have all the equipment to do it, I'm gonna actually remove all the switches and the knobs and everything, and ultrasonically clean them in this bath of isopropanol and water. And also there is a little bit of soap or surfactant, so it will actually clean them. I really want to clean also those parts here, but I'm gonna do it separately with another bath. So first I'm gonna get all the switches to the ultrasonic cleaner, and then I'm gonna disassemble this. I'm gonna get the all the tape residues out, and I'm gonna set a acetone bath for all the metal parts. So all the tape residues and everything, we're gonna actually go and be dissolved by the acetone bath. So that's what I'm gonna do. Alright, so I looked around in the manual, but there's nothing written on how to remove this part here. So I'm gonna try and guess here. So there are 4 screws here, and I guess that in order to remove this thing is actually quite simple, at least I hope. You have to remove this part here, this little spring here to the solenoid, and this should actually come right off. And I see some tape, some molten tape everywhere, so that's not good. I have to clean everything here, and that actually is worrying. But the first thing I'm gonna do is to remove this part here, see the extent of damage of the molten tape. Alright, so hopefully you can see me. I actually have removed the digital counter I taped it here so it doesn't move and it's out of the way. Flywheel and everything. Have to flip it right here like that, and hopefully it's gonna be good. Here is an acetone bath, and as you can see, it's doing its job. It's dissolving the gunk. I completely removed the thing here. Unfortunately I cannot. I had no luck in removing the flywheel because those are actually stuck here, and I don't want to ruin it. So I'm gonna have to do it manually here, but that's cool. That's alright. That's a mess. You have to have a little bit of confidence here. It actually seems that you are making things worse. You can actually see here, but 2 passages you can actually see comes right off. And we'll dissolve it very nicely, and you will actually end up having a completely clean flywheel after a while. You have to be patient here, and nothing else. Just good old elbow grease and patience. That, I mean, it's all perfectly clean now, and I can say that was quite a nightmare, but at the end, look at the result. It's just nice. Here is a little bit of discoloration, but it's perfectly smooth. That's what you want. So now I have to fix this part here. As you can see here, this shouldn't be like that. And as you can see here, probably, I don't know if I can focus there, but there is a tiny little stopper right there. This is supposed to go right here to maintain this little lever upwards. Right, it's all the grease here, it's all hardened, and so let's actually go here and a little bit of clean up. There we go. Hopefully it doesn't explode, because you know, it's isopropanol, so yeah, you have to be careful with that. Isn't that much better? So now I actually cleaned up so the head block here, all the flywheel, which is still turning. Wow. And all the little wheels and pinions on which the tape runs are all now perfectly cleaned and put also a little bit of oil, especially on this one here, which now is perfect. Those are nice, and I cleaned also those parts, and now it actually works a little bit. This actually needs a little bit of force, a little bit of oil to turn again, but I mean, look at that. That is now much better, and I can proceed in ordering the belts. I have a collection of belts, but you know, it's actually quite large. Has to go around here, and the actual caps and motor is right there, so it's actually quite a large belt. So I'm gonna order the belt, and now I'm gonna actually try to restore the pinch roller, which is here, which also is melting. Unfortunately, the rubber is completely gone, so I don't know really what to do with it, because a new pinch roller would actually cost me 85 euros. I'm not even kidding. That's almost what I paid for the whole thing, which is, yeah, you know, have to decide something, and I'm actually gonna try to, you know, disassemble, to actually remove the rubber from the pinch roller, and try and find something to replace it. Perhaps a piece of rubber tubing, I don't know. But now it actually works nicely. It's all oiled again, and it's clean, and it's perfect now. So the front part is almost done. I have cleaned everything here on the front, the tape block, the head block, sorry, and the tape transport system is now functioning correctly. So I actually found my TIAC A3440 belt replacement here, because I bought one or two of those, and this is actually really close to the original belt. Even though I don't really have it, it was all melted. I think it would actually fit right here. Now I'm gonna actually try this thing. Alright, so I actually replaced the belt with the TIAC A3441, and they're running, but I don't know, it seems a little bit too tight. So that's a very temporary kind of solution. So I have to order a new belt. So they're not interchangeable, I don't think so. Because it's really... I mean, you could, but that's a very desperate kind of thing to do. So searching in my bin... No, in my... I found those belts. Those are just rubber belts, and those are not designed to be used as, you know, belts for driving stuff, but you know, those are elastic belt rubber bands, and I think they will fit perfectly. So I don't know, that's quite desperate, I think, but you know, the black one was the TIAC 3440 one, and it is a little bit too tight. But this one is a little bit longer, and it's elastic. I know elastic is not exactly good, it has to be a little bit elastic, but not too much. Alright, so this is hilarious. Replace it with a, you know, normal elastic band, and I don't know about you, but this is just perfect. It's not too tight, it's not too loose, it's just the right belt. I mean, jeez, And I have a bunch of those, like I have 30, 40. And I find those, you know, normal stores, and I mean, jeez. That is just perfect. It's not perfectly, you know, as you can see, it's not the perfect rubber band. I mean, it's far from perfect. And it's not the best idea ever, but it works, and I think it will work just fine. Let's test the little rubber belt, you know, the elastic band. Let's test this. Yes, you know what? I think it's perfect. Yeah, it's not bad. Has the right amount of torque. The tension is, I mean, geez, I'm impressed. No, just kidding. I'm actually going to buy a proper replacement for it, but for now, it will run just fine. Alright, so I don't know if you can see it very well, but there is some kind of there are some kind of a little tiny little spots on this part here, and that's very hard. It seems like rust, but I don't think it's rust, because this is a probably an aluminium part. So I think that this part here, and it's only on this side here, so I think it actually sat for a long time, like years, in this position here, and dust particles and you know, dirt just deposited right here, and then cementified itself and corroded the surface here, which is not good. You have this is a very critical component, and it should be perfect. I mean, it should be perfectly flat as smooth and very smooth, because all the parts, all the tape path has to be perfectly smooth and very clean. So this is not good, and especially if you run this thing. Let me actually get this thing on. You can actually hear it. So that's very fine paste. So I'm gonna try that first, and try to see if that cleans it. Alright, so this is actually running. So first I'm gonna clean it very well with some isopropanol. This is pure isopropanol, so it should be really good. It's very handy that this thing actually turns. I'm gonna let it sit here, and I'm gonna try to get a uniform kind of distribution. And look at that, it's actually that is very fine dust. Man, it's perfect. So smooth. The tape will fly away on this thing. So much satisfaction here. So that's fixed. Next thing. Then I actually searched online for a replacement pinch roller. As you can see, it's melting inside this bag. As you can see, that is disgusting. A fucking mess inside. And so I got the measures here, but I actually found the actual rubber that goes with it, which is 20 euros. Plus 10 of delivery from the United States. Oh my god. There we go. Now, I'm gonna let it soak for a while. You can actually see the rubber melting. See that? Oh my god. That is, you know, a big thing. Look at that. It sticks right away. That's not good. But if we get this thing and clean it. Oh yeah. Alright. Alright. So let it soak for a while.